Hi, everybody. So I have some exciting news to share and a great guest today. Peter Shankman, the author of Zombie Loyalists, is here with us today to introduce our project and to give us a little bit of advice and tips on how to create zombie loyalists. So, hey, Peter, how are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Good. Well, thanks for joining us. I know this is just your latest book out and very, very interesting book on creating customer loyalty. I happen to have many of your books. Here's another one here, customer service, how to sell to the social customer. So tell us, what is the connection? This is for the social media management class. So tell us a little bit about your book, how you came about doing this, and what you think the connection is between creating the customer zombie loyalists and social media management.
You know, the problem with social media today is that everyone's using it as a panacea for everything. Oh, well, if our customers get mad, it's fine. We'll placate them on social media. Well, the problem is that if you're waiting for the problem to happen and then fixing it on social media, well, the problem's already happened. New York City has a phenomenal fire department. I know that if my apartment ever catches fire, they'll probably come really quickly and put it out. But I'd just rather my apartment not catch fire in the first place. So, instead of focusing so much on how to placate on social or how to talk on social or tell people you're great on social, if you focus on creating an amazing experience in the first place, you don't have to be apologizing on social all the time, and more importantly, you will create an experience that a customer wants to share. And when they share it, they'll go tell the world how awesome you are. You're not the one who has to do it. Let's face it, no one believes how great you are if you're the one that has to tell them.
Exactly. And I'm sure as the audience has probably experienced good experiences and also bad experiences when it comes to customer service, we've all been victims of it. But it's a whole different world with social media. So social media can really make it or break it.
No question about it. It's so true.
And you come from a traditional public relations background and have really been just an icon, maverick, and taking public relations to the next level. You're always one step ahead, and this book is one example of it. So the project that I gave our students here at University of Florida Social Media Management is to read your book cover to cover and then write a blog post that relates to your book but also leans on their experiences that they may or may not have had from a customer service standpoint. So the challenge is out to the students to do that. So as we kick that off, can we ask you a couple of questions and some tips?
Sure, go for it.
So what are some actionable tips that you can share that students could apply, you could apply today that might make a difference, whether it's them trying to find a job in social media or their future, maybe they're working as an intern on the social media management front lines. What are some tips that you can share with us that have to do with creating zombie loyalists?
I think one of the first things I'd recommend is the concept that everything you do for the rest of your life will now be forever online, right? So you want to be aware of everything you're posting, everything you're talking about. Just because you were out with friends and drunk is no longer an excuse. Because when I'm stone cold sober and researching you to hire you or researching you for whatever, and I see that, that's a problem. So, I think the first thing to be aware of is that everything lives forever online, and it's no one else's fault if your brand isn't seen the way you want it to be. It's not Twitter's fault, it's not anyone's fault, it's your fault. So it's really important that you be aware of everything you're saying and everything you're doing online.
And how can they do that? What are some things that they can do to make a difference?
I follow a simple rule. I'm of the belief that if before I post anything, I simply ask myself, will this offend or would it embarrass me for this to be seen by a parent, a teacher, a boss? Would it be embarrassing for my daughter in 10 years? And so you just want to be aware. My usual rule is if I have to think for more than a half a second, I don't post it.
Okay.
You want to make sure that, again, everything you do is not your brand. You want to make sure that you're doing the right thing.
And what if you're in an internship position in social media management? What are some actionable things that they can be on the lookout for to help attract the army of zombie loyalists?
Everyone hates self-promotion. Self-promotion is kind of like the band Nickelback. No one really likes that. But on the flip side, everyone loves help. And if you can figure out a way to show, if you're the first thing people think of, if you're what people think of when they are doing their like, hey, I need someone to help me do this. Who should I call? You know what? I'll call Peter. If you're the top of mind, if you're the first thing people are thinking of, then that's going to benefit them, and they want to be able to see that. They want to know that you're the one doing good things. They'll call you, and when they call you, you become relevant to them. And the more relevant to them you are, the better chance you have of being seen as that expert.
Okay, great. So now let's reverse it. So now the personal brand is the student or is me or is you, but from the student standpoint, how could you reverse it and how can the student, what can the student do to create, or anybody in a profession do to create their own zombie loyalists, to create their own, what can they do from the student standpoint?
Well, look, we expect, especially when you're a kid, everyone expects college kids to be, not on the game, screwing around, not taking things seriously. No one says you have to be perfect. All that you can be, if you're just one level above crap, people expect people and brands and everything not to be their best. If you can just be one level above blah, chances are you're going to be better than 99% of the people out there. And if you can do that, people will be thrilled with you.
Okay, great. Good advice. So you have a lot of hacks at the end of the chapter, the last chapter. What's your favorite hack?
I think, again, my favorite hack, it comes back to disguising self-promotion as help. I'm the first person to say, I tweet all the time, hey, how can I help you? What can we do? What are you working on? How can I help? Whatever. And that winds up, people love that. They wind up saying, you know what, that's really nice of him. He really does. And I do. I honestly do want to help people. And when they see that, it's everyone loves the person who's willing to help. And for students right now, I would suggest as they go out in the world and get their first job, be the one who is always willing to do the job that no one else in the company wants to do. I will always hire someone
Like the one cleaning the brass and the
exactly, whatever it is, washing the toilets. I will always hire that person who's willing to do that. The second you become entitled, I have a severe problem with you.
Yeah, that's a good point. So my favorite hack is the one I think it's the very first one. That's about the movie executive that every day spends about.
Oh, Barry Diller, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's, can you just share that one?
Every day Barry Diller would go into work a half an hour early and he'd call 10 people in his Rolodex just to say hi. He wouldn't try to sell them anything, he'd just say hi. And as that happened, people would wind up calling him back when they needed something. And he was the first person they thought of, and he turned Paramount Pictures into a company that was almost bankrupt into like the first billion-dollar movie studio. So in Hollywood. So just by saying hi, it's amazing how quickly that works.
Yeah, when I read that, I mean, today we don't really have Rolodex, but we have LinkedIn. So I was thinking, one thing students could do is, build their LinkedIn network, and maybe every day or a couple times a week, just reach out to 5 or 10 people on their LinkedIn network and just say hi and not really ask for anything back.
Yep.
Okay, great. So, Peter, I know that you're busy. You're going to be doing the webinar for CISA next for your book, and we're all going to be on it. So just one last question. Any just general advice that you can offer to students as far as, helping to get their first job or their next job or their first internship? What's some advice when they're entering, whether it's the PR or social media world or just the working world? Just
try to have fun. I think too many people don't know how to have a good time. Too many people spend all their time not enjoying what they're doing, and it's very, very difficult to do your best work if you don't love what you're doing. So you want to make sure that you love what you're doing, and if you don't, I have a great quote from some skydiving friends of mine. They said, what is it? If you can't change the people around you, change the people around you. So basically, if you're not in love with what you're doing, you need to figure out something to do that you will be in love with. Love that. Okay. Any last words before we end this one, and we'll move on to your book and your webinar? Life's too short. Just have fun.
Okay. Thank you so much, Peter, for joining us at the University of Florida Social Media Management class. I really appreciate it. And you can follow Peter at Peter Shankman on Twitter.
Yes, on all. I heard it said yesterday. You can find me on all the socials. That term really bothers me, but yes, apparently I'm on all the socials. Is at Peter Shankman.
Well, you should be.
Okay, guys, take care.
All right. Thank you.